Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you some introductory details about discourse analysis. We have to go through some definitions and some explanations regarding this field. But before that, we have to go through the explanation of linguistics, which is the general umbrella under which we can find all fields of the language. Once we say linguistics, we mean by the study of the language with all its fields. So we're talking about phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, translation, applied linguistics, which includes a lot of fields like sociolinguistics and psycholinguistics. Then we have the discourse analysis and the computation linguistics. And every field of these ones is concerned with some points. For example, in phonetics, we are going to study the sounds of the language. In syntax, for example, we have to go through the rules of the structure or the grammar of the language. And in morphology and phonology, we're going through the rules of making words and so. Now, in today's class, we have to focus on 4 fields and to connect them with each other. We have semantics, pragmatics, discourse analysis, and translation. We can say that these 4 fields are similar with each other and they go within the same way. That is to say, once we say semantics, we go through the literal meaning of the words, the vocabularies, and the expressions. And sometimes, or in most cases actually, if we go through the literal meaning of the language, we will fail in explaining the language or in understanding the language. Because we just get the dictionary meaning of that words, and sometimes they don't work with the text itself. If we go through the pragmatics, we go deeper than this and we go through the meaning of the expressions or the sentences inside a text. And this will help us more in understanding a text. Now, in translation, actually, we are going to transform a text from one language into another. And this process actually will ask us or will need us to be aware of the culture of the language, the society of the language, some circumstances of the text itself, like who is the sayer of the text, who is the audience, in which settings, in which location, and so on. So we have actually to come up with a lot of details in order for the text to be translated in a good way. In discourse analysis, actually, we're going through the same process of translation, but with some brief differences. In discourse analysis, we are going to explain the text, explain the circumstances of the text, and this will ask us and need us to go through so many details, like I have to focus on the speaker, the audience, the settings, the culture, the society, the idioms, and a lot of details. Actually, once we say discourse, we have to go through some details. At the beginning, So first we have to go through what is the meaning of discourse. Simply, I will say that discourse means the text itself. And once we say discourse analysis, we have to say the explanation of the text. Now, in this field, we have to go through some expressions. We have the word text and the co-text and the context. Now, once we say text, it means the real language. Once we are saying a sentence or a number of sentences that we have, so the real language, the real expressions, the real vocabularies are the text itself. Now, let's go ahead with the word co-text. In co-text, actually, we have to go through the surrounding words of one vocabulary or one expression that will help us to understand the exact meaning. I have an example here. just to see the different meanings of the word spring. Now, spring, if we go to any dictionary, we will see that spring means a number of meanings or indicates a number of meanings. Now, if I apply this word in so many sentences, it means that the surrounding words of this expression or this word will help me to understand the exact meaning of the word spring. Let's see the first example. I buy a new watch. Its springs work perfect, but then the minute's spring breaks down and the watch stops working. Now, if I focus on the word spring here and here as well, I have to understand that it has to do with the time. Since I have the word watch, that leads me to time, I have minutes spring. Now, from the word watch, I can understand that spring is a part of a watch. And minutes spring, it leads me to the meaning of that spring is one of the two hands of the watch. One is for the minutes and the other is for the hours, and breaks down and the watch stops working. So the surrounding words of the word spring, like the word watch and the word minutes, we can add as well time, for example. All of these will lead me to the meaning that spring means a part of the watch that is responsible for showing me the minutes. Okay, now in the other example, we have spring is my favorite season. I like the flowers, trees, and the green land. Now the surrounding words of the word spring, like season, flowers, trees, and the green land, will lead me to the explanation that spring is one of the four seasons beside winter, autumn, and summer. So we can get a benefit from these surrounding words. These surrounding words are called the co-text. The surrounding words here as well means the context of the spring. Now, the other example, we have I feel thirsty and I need to drink water. There is a small spring there between the mountains. Now, from the surrounding words of spring here, I can understand that spring is a place where I can find water to drink, because I have the word thirsty, we have water, it is a place between mountains. So I can imagine that a place that is full of water and can help me to drink, that spring is a place where can I find water. So if I go through some other explanations and details beside these details, I can guess that spring is similar to river, but it's smaller than the river and it has water. All of these surrounding words means the context. So once I say text, what I mean by the text means these sentences, the sentences themselves. Okay, the words themselves, the language itself. Co-text means the surrounding words and expressions of one particular word or vocabulary that will lead me to the meaning of that word. Now let's go ahead with the word context. Context actually means a lot, this word. Context means that we have to go through so many details. We have to go through the verbal and the non-verbal circumstances of communication. I have to go through the whole story. For instance, I have a text here, and this text is full of details. Okay, now if I need to just explain this detail, I have to go back to this one and this one and this one. I have to understand the settings of this text. I have to understand what is the meaning of that detail. Who is the speaker? How the speaker says that detail. Who was the audience? In what time it is said, for example. In which location it is said. In which occasion it is said. For instance, I have to look at the body language of the speaker. I have to take care of, for example, if the text is shown in a video or through an audio or just as a written one, if it is spoken or written. All of these surrounding, let's say, circumstances will lead me to understand the text itself. Now, if we go through the discourse, the word discourse, it means the text itself. It means the speech that I'm going to explain. The expression discourse analysis means the explanation of the text inside a context. It's different from pragmatics in that when I say pragmatics, it means the explanation of text or the explanation of words or vocabularies in a text. So sometimes I don't care about the context. Whereas discourse analysis, I have to go through the explanation of a text inside a context. In other words, we have to say contextual explanation means the discourse analysis. And actually, all of these details are shown here in this chapter. Once I say, for example, when I say context, here I refer the context means the social, cultural, political, historical background of the discourse or of the text. And actually, the word context is larger than this because it goes through the circumstances of the speaker and the listener as well. Because if my audience are educated, my speech will be almost different from if my audience is not educated. If they are males or females, the whole story will be different. And actually, we go here through some points or some details that will help us to understand the context of the text. And therefore, we have to go through a perfect explanation for a text. What I mean by is the discourse analysis. We have to look at the vocabularies, grammar, structure, genre, non-verbal communication, conversational codes, and so on. And by the end, we can understand the text in lingual, let's say, the lingual part of the text. And then we have to go through some social facts, cultural facts, political facts, because all of them will help us to understand. Actually, some expressions are just understood in some societies. And this is the meaning of social or cultural explanation of the words. Like, for example, in Jordanian society, once we say expression like khishn, khishna, ونعمة, so we are going through a particular kind of dessert that is presented here in Jordan, which is the knafe. And so these two expressions are culturally and socially understood by people because they are just used here in this society. If we go through some other societies, we will find some other expressions that are just understood there. This is what we mean by context, the cultural, the social, the so many parts of the language. So by the end, we can say that discourse means the text itself, and discourse analysis means the explanation of the text inside a context. In the coming classes, we're going to go or to explain some other details regarding the types of context. We have to go through verbal environment. We have to go through the linguistic context and the situational context, the cultural context, and the physical context. This will help us to see some details about the context and how it applies, how we apply it to understand the text. Then we go through the role of the context in eliminating ambiguity and indicating reference and detecting conversational implicates. And that's it. Thank you for listening and see you next time.